pleasure to see a room full. Bill, I don't see as good as I used to, so I may not be able to tell who's out there now, but I need to get some glasses, I know that, and y'all will know it by the time we get through. I won't be able to see you. But it is great for you to be here. Isn't it great to be an American? You know, we have troops fighting right this very minute, and we always have. Freedom isn't free, is it? There's a price for it. So let's always remember those soldiers and our veterans and the families of those soldiers and veterans. We'll go ahead. We're going to start with a public hearing. Mr. Attorney, I'll turn that over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. We have two public hearings tonight. First, I'd like to let everybody know that the City of Tifton's written public hearing procedures, the City of Tifton standards for exercising zoning powers, and a copy of the Georgia Conflict of Interest laws are available as a handout or also posted for public review. The first public hearing we have is on application Z14-000-002. In this regard, to an annexation and reclassification of 4.823 acres owned by Peachway Holdings, LLC, located on E.B. Hamilton Drive, adjacent to the West Haven Village, from Tift County Agricultural Use, AU, to City of Tifton Municipal Multiple Residential. I'd like to ask the council three questions regarding conflict of interest. Have any of these applicants or opponents to the application contributed at least $250 to any of the campaigns for election during the past 2 years?
No.
No. Do you or any members of your family own property that would be impacted by the rezoning action, whether it be a positive or negative impact?
No.
Wait just a minute. No, I think that's far enough from my nephew's house. I don't think there'd be a problem there. I'd say it'd be a good distance away.
Do you or any members of your family have an interest in a business that would be impacted by this rezoning action, whether it be a positive or negative impact?
No.
Prior to going into the public input, I'm going to ask Mr. Burke Crowe to give the staff recommendation, brief explanation of the rezoning, as well as the City of Tifton Plan Zoning recommendation.
Thank you. As Mr. Wilmot has already spoken, we did receive an application requesting for an annexation of approximately 4.8 acres in the parcel that's listed, and a change from, go along with that, from agricultural use county to multi-residential city. This was sent before the Planning and Zoning Commission and was approved unanimously. The staff recommendation is to approve this annexation and subsequent rezone.
I'll now take public input. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the application?
I'll real quickly just say I've been here, of course, a few times before. I think you all know what our intentions are, and if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any of it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to the application? Mayor, I see no citizens' input. I ask that this public hearing be closed.
It's closed.
The second public hearing we're going to have tonight is in regard to amending the City of Tifton Urban Redevelopment Plan to add identified areas within the city which qualify for redevelopment and rehabilitation contemplated by the Urban Redevelopment Law. Again, I will probably take any public input. I ask Mr. Crowe if you would come and explain to the citizens what we're having about amending this plan.
We, as a department, have been looking at the redesignation of our urban redevelopment zone so that it coincides with the census tract for the city of Tifton for any area that is low to moderate income level to include it in that area. I have a map in which is the same thing. I'm going to just hold up right here. And if anybody wants to see it in the audience, there's another one on the board from the wall. But this is the map. If you remember, we looked at it last time. It shows the areas that we were initially, area we added later, and the areas we wanted to pick up to the east of town, and the areas to the west of town. The border for the city limits would be the border out here. If you know, This being the census map that goes all the way into the county south, north, east, and west, with the exception of the northern part of our city. And we want to include that in order to better be able to serve and allow for grants and such as that, like we discussed before. The staff recommendations for that is to adopt this new zone as our urban redevelopment zone.
Thank you, Bert.
All right, I'll now take some public input on the amending of the City of Tifton Urban Redevelopment Plan. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the amendment to the plan? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to the amending of the redevelopment plan? Mayor, I see no citizens' input. I ask that public hearing be closed.
It's closed. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. We now officially call it to order. And Julie Smith has been so gracious to give us a prayer tonight. And when Julie finishes with her prayer, we will all stand and face the flag. Say the pledge of allegiance. Right back here. Julie?
If you will, pray with me, please. Father, we come before you tonight in thanksgiving. We thank you for this community. We thank you for the honor that the five of us have to serve these citizens. We ask that you'll guide us in our decisions, Lord. Help us to do your will. Help us to look out for this community and just bless this town, Father. We're so fortunate to live in Tifton. Father, we ask that you'll look after our men and women in service and just be with them and be with their families. Help them to know that their efforts are appreciated. We're so thankful for them. We pray these things in your name, Father. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The first item of business, we always get to do some fun things, and that is the Employee of the Month presentation. Chief, is that you?
That's me. You coming up?
Yeah. Okay.
I thought we rehearsed this. Before we get started, this is to take a very neat. During our budget presentation, if you remember, she was one of our two officers that had received a master's degree. The other is Jared York. You ever stand up? Very proud of both of y'all. The reason I personally wrote a letter of recommendation before the KDG was, if you remember, early in the year we had a series of shootings, a lot of drive-by shootings. And we developed a suspect, thanks to the CID, did a very good job. And one of these suspects left the state. Well, Fair used some very unconventional, unorthodox ways of getting this guy back into Tifton. And that's all I can say about that. So I'm very proud of her. I can tell you, Lee couldn't have done it, Jerry couldn't have done it, but she got him back. And for the record, I am proud of you. She asks me that every day.
And it's hard to tell when you're proud of anybody. He's got one of those poker looks, but I know he loves all of his people. In recognition of your outstanding work performance and for going above and beyond, the mayor, city council, and city manager recognize Farron Yee as Employee of the Month for May 2014. Congratulations.
Now, also, I've taken the opportunity to provide the photo. I'll pass it on the camera.
This. All right, I got the good one for you. Okay? Now, this is the one we need to use. Everybody can see this? That was one of our better days. Fair, I'll give this back to you. I'll give it to the newspaper. Good one.
They pin hold of that and can't come on.
Thank you. Buddy, good selection. Thank you. That might sure time. The employee of the month presentation. Now we're going to go to the presentation of the FY 2015 city budget. Before I do, I want to make one little comment to the attorney, and I can't, it's in the public matter, it's not on here, but it is public matter. Are we still working with the police chief to find out what we're supposed to do on this new law about people bringing guns in here?
Yes,
That is being worked on.
yes.
Scares the daylights out of all of us, well, me, I can't speak for
The
everybody.
chief sent me some more information last week, and we're reviewing that, he's reviewing it, and we'll be able to report for that next workshop.
Workshop, and it goes into effect July the 1st, is that
That's
correct?
right.
Okay, 'cause I'm gonna be back for the first meeting in July, if I have to be. I ain't getting a shot, I'll let you back. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and, Mr. Larry Reiner, you wanna?
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Your
We have to
pleasure,
do-
sure.
We have to go through, you have to put before we do it, please. All right, where's my stand? I might have my packet. Everybody see? Mayor, I'm pleased to present to council the FY15 budget for the city of Tifton. It's in accordance with federal law, state law, and the charter of the city of Tifton. This budget, this year, proposed budget is balanced, and it totals $43.4 million for all funds. So the highlights in the general fund, the total general fund budget, we're talking about general fund, that's where your tax dollars are. That's not, your enterprise funds are all service fees, that's how they generate their revenues. Total budget's $12.5 million. I'm gonna round these off. If you want details of it, you can pick up a copy or come by City Hall. And the city clerk has a copy of the proposed budget in her office, and it's there for anybody to view. We will also get this on the website, so you can go on the website and view it. Net everyone tax decreased $12,000 this year. Did not have an increase in our tax base because we had increases in exemptions. Loss collections are down about $90,000. Our health insurance increased to $218,000 due to premium changes, and the decrease in the general fund budget, well, $2 million is primarily because of reduction or the city net debt bandwidth activities. Overall salary increases of $204,000. That's to fund vacant positions and part-time positions that were not funded last year. And then we have an increase in capital outlay as well. If you'll recall, we have been holding off on any major purchases until we could get everything running on an even keel, and we're pretty much there. Where does the money come from? Is there a laser on here?
Yeah, no, what?
Okay, if you look down the left column over here, we got Everlow on taxes, franchise fees, local option sales tax, and a whole slew of different areas where the money comes from. This bandwidth connectivity, this reduction in $2 million, is where we reduced that $2 million from, we had funds that were coming in from the enterprise funds and all the other funds into the general fund, and that's where the monies were actually paid from to reduce that debt. We reduced the city net debt by almost $4 million this year alone. Just a little pie chart of where the revenue comes from. As you can tell, you got the sales tax, everyone taxes, those are the biggest, franchise fees, and then the charges for services over here. This is a history, a running history of our everyone taxes. As you can tell, we were running along and up and down, up and down, up, and now we're down again this year. This is the history of the tax digest. And if you look at the total city taxes levied, you just run across there and you can see where we are. The difference, we're down about 1% net this year. And there again, it's because of this line, where's the exemptions? Right here. You'll see that we went from 31.7 to $36 million in exemptions. Local option sales taxes, what we've done, you can follow the chart. I told you we were down about $90,000, and that's right here. This is our proposed FY15 tax dollars. This is estimated through the end of June this year. Where does the money go? This is a breakout of by fund of where the money goes to, and you'll notice that if you start right here at police, fire, and public works, they're the big boys. That's where your the general fund costs are. And if you follow the pie chart, you can see it break down by percentage as well. But these are the three biggies in the general fund. We had an increase in our health insurance this year. You'll notice we're at 2013 we were at 1.2, and 14 we're looking at about 1 million. If you recall, we outsourced some of the departments, and that's what we think is going to impact that reduction. However, we did have that increase, so we're projecting we're going to be back up about 1.2 million next year. Liability and workers' comp insurance, you know, we talk about this all the time. This is a moving target we have to keep working on. We're looking at workers' comp right here from 259 to 391. However, our liability and workers' compensation, the Germa liability cost actually went down. And there again, we feel like that's directly related to the reduction in employees we have. Statement of revenues over expenditures. As you can see, we're moving along here and we're doing pretty well. We fixed 11, 12 we went positive, 13 we went positive, and 14 we're looking at a slight increase again in revenue over expenditures. And the reason this is happening is because these employees out here, they are not spending money, they're working smarter, not harder. And we also have not allowed purchases, capital purchases, i.e. dump trucks, motor graders, things like that. Hotel motel fund, as you all know, we have the 5 pennies for the hotel motel tax. We're projecting, that money's up this year, by the way. We're up about 76,000, or 72,000. Overall change is about 76. It looks like an increase. The hotel motel fund, we had the changes in that fund. This year, we're going to fund $35,000 for the airport operations. Spoke with Brian Marlowe. He's happy to have us on board for the utilizing Chris Beckham for the communications and marketing program that Chris works on as a partnership with the chamber. Tourism board had a $32,000 increase, and this is a new one for us. And here again, let me stress, these are not general fund tax dollars. This is hotel motel fund dollars. The Keep Tip Beautiful, that's a new department this year. Simply anticipating the possible outsourcing of solid waste collection and disposal. That money was funded through the recycling program before. This $15,000 is our best estimate as to what it may cost to operate Keep Tip Beautiful in the hotel motel fund. SPLOST funds, 1% local option sales tax. These are restricted for capital projects that are voted on by the citizens of Tifton. We can't use these for maintenance and operation. They're strictly capital projects. And we have two SPLOST funds going now. We finished SPLOST 3. SPLOST 4 is actually closed now. That ended last December, excuse me. And we're working on the SPLOST 5 collections now. And SPLOST 4, that ended December of 12. Funds carry forward $1.3 million, and these are the monies that are left in those SPLOST 4 funds for capital projects that are planned. The street and drainage projects, that's a big one right now. We have some concerned citizens that are, and justifiably so. We're going to do something with 18th Street ditch over behind the pub. We're going to do something with Belmont and Lee Culverts. That street's been closed for 2 years. We had engineers down today, and they're preparing to go out with an advertisement in the paper. We have to advertise those types of projects. Their public works projects are over $100,000, and we have to advertise those for 30 days prior to letting any bids on them. SPLOST 5, collections began January 1st of 13. Collections for the past 15 months, a total of $4.2 million. We're averaging about $280,000 a month, and that's running about 80%. Is that what we're using? That's about an 80% collection rate based on the entire SPLOST 5 referendum. We have an LME grant coming in about 168, and council has to decide what we're going to use that money on. The projects are coming up here shortly. We have funds carried forward of $2.7 million, and in the FY15 budget, we have $2.193 million of SPLOST money to retire city net debt completely. And hopefully we'll get a Christmas present this year, and Ms. Lois is still working on that for us, and just keep your fingers crossed. We have fire equipment, water and sewer projects, and street and drainage, and we did move the $200,000 from 20th Street to 18th Street for that ditch over there. For a grand total of $6.2 million. And the remaining funds for these SPLOST funds are in the 5-year capital plan, so what you're looking at is this year's budgeted money. Enterprise funds, as I stated before, these are not tax dollars, those are user fees that support those funds. These are balances that are included in there. There's 3.7 in water, 3.9 in sewer. That does include the 10% increase in the sewer rates. Gas is 4.6, solid waste collection is disposal 5.5, and tip theater is 452,000. Tip theater 452, over 200,000 of that is repair money for the exterior of the building. And that is also paid for out of the hotel motel fund. We have several other funds that we have, special revenue funds, grants, honor guard, checking accounts, and things like that. There's several of them. I just wanted to mention the details of those are in the budget. If you want to take a look at them, we'll go over in the budget with you. The recommended budget will allow the city to maintain quality of the community, provide enhanced public safety, thank you very much, and allow for better employment opportunities. Hopefully, after Councilman Ehlers and Parrott make their report from the retirement committee, that'll be a very happy ending today. And in assisting increasing employee morale and retention. The next meetings will be June 12th at 5 p.m. here for the public hearing that we're required to have. And then on June 19th, unless something catastrophic happens, we'll adopt the budget for FY15 at 5 p.m. in this location at the workshop as well. Are there any questions? Any comments? All righty then. None.
Larry, you and your people done a splendid job on that budget. A lot of hard work. It may only take you 15 minutes to talk about it, but there's a lot of sweat and equity in that thing.
If you look around and see those, I don't see any other finance folks in here,
They didn't come.
but they're probably still up there in the office working. But they have really done they've done a hell of a job in finance, I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm roasting, I don't know about y'all.
I am too. What's wrong with that? Everybody hot? Get cold, that's our next, thank you, Larry. Our next department presentation is from Bert Crow and his folks. That's called environmental management. That's the code enforcement, the building program. He works with planning and zoning. He works with the Historical Preservation Commission. Bert wears a lot of hats, and he's real good at all of them. So Bert, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to come for you. I handed out a handout for the council people this while ago. And the first sheet on there, I just want to go over that real quick, and then we'll move on to some of our procedural things. First off, it just first sheet you have should tell you about our purpose, our mission, our vision. It's just overall, this really hadn't changed since we initially started. We modify what we do, but our main core of why we do it should stay the same. We also have a handout we use quite regularly that I included in there that just shows the different departments that you just mentioned, for planning and zoning, code enforcement, and building inspections. We also do a lot of development to do with that too, and that goes along with it, as you well know. We're going to go over some numbers in just a minute. I did include too a little handout. It's just printed out slides. These are slides that we've actually presented to be used on the CityNet station or city government station, excuse me. And it's just a list of some of the ones that we present to them to put on where citizens can pick up on it and see what we do. Just some information for your reference. Did want to go over, I had handed to y'all when we had our meeting looking at budgets, some of the information. I was just going to kind of reiterate that. Currently through as of today, this year, that is the calendar year, the fiscal year, we had 883 code cases so far this year.
Bert, can I stop?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at what Johnny has here. He has more of this than I have, and
sorry.
he doesn't have this one.
Well, excuse me, the package was put together, I'm sorry that you came up short.
Yeah, he just needs that, and then he's got more information on his.
That's my handout for that's just basically telling me where we're at.
Oh, this is yours. This is a handout. But all the cases.
Is this all I need? You got those? You don't have those? Were you looking on with me?
Sorry. But anyway, we've had 883 code cases through today. We probably figure that's going to be easily in the 9 to 950 range before the end of this month, due to the time of the year. And as you can see, over the past 3 years, we're averaging somewhere in the neighborhood between 900 to 1,000 cases per year. And it's going to hold there. That's going to be pretty consistent. There's also a breakdown there for each one of you that shows your district. You can see which district has the most and which district has the fewest. And accordingly, it's just some information for you there. That number does relate through the end of April for that total. Building permits, just to let you know, even though it's showing 370, right now we're at 405 as of today, with a revenue of $81,153. That's as of today. I do know that we have at least 2 more projects that should permit, if not 3, before the end of the fiscal year. That will add another several $1,000s to it. And you can kind of see the breakdown by district that you have there that show where they've been built into different types of buildings. So just give you that information to use. It may be really handy when you're talking to your constituents. If you'll turn that sheet over, you'll see HPC. And you'll actually see that HPC cases are down this year to 32. That will be our total for the year. The reason that they're down is because the commission has allowed the staff to do some of the cases internally, i.e. signs. Some signs we do. Roofing we now do internally because of a roof of a like kind, they allow me to do those internal. So we had a few less, although they are told those and get a report on the ones that we do. They're not true, actual open and reviewed applications. That gives you a breakdown of what some of them are for. Zoning and permitting, you'll see that during the fiscal year, the cases that we reviewed during the fiscal year were 15. Actually a total of 9, and the breakdown on that, and in 12-13 was 15, this year's been 9, and actually as of right now it's 12. So we added some that y'all actually were voting on tonight, those were not added in. So it'll actually be end of the year with 12, the way it looks right now. Just to give you a little input too about our daily operations in our department. We receive, and I counted this up over several different averages to make sure, we receive anywhere from 100 to 150 inquiries per day. That means either by phone, walk-in, email, text, I mean pretty much any way you can imagine. And that's myself plus staff. It would range, depending on the day, anywhere from 100 to 150. And just some other points to let you know about, since we established the department in July of 2011, we've had a 30% reduction in staff. We've had a 12% reduction in our expenses overall, on the budget, you might as well say. And we have been constant in our revenue figures. Our revenue has fell somewhere between 80 and 110,000 every year in that range. So we've stepped that pretty consistent with less staff and less budget here. So that's kind of where we're at right now. That's just an overall overview. There were some questions that was asked. It's relating to our procedures, and I'd like to go over that with you now real quick. When it comes to building procedures, as far as putting an application for a building, we generally receive an inquiry. That's the first thing we get. We may or may not know who that inquiry is from. But once we do receive that inquiry, then one of the first things we do is to try to set up a pre-review meeting, or a meeting prior to us actually reviewing the plans. And that way we're able to put together a team which meets, and we'll do that for anybody at any time. And that team would include both all of our internal people from inside staff, and water, sewer, gas, solid waste, such as that, for the preview meetings. That helps us to hopefully eliminate some of the problems that we may have later on down the road before we get to the actual review. Then we do actually receive plans. Once we receive plans, we review all plans within 10 days and give an initial within 10 days. Now, there are times when they have to add extra material to us or send extra documentation or something of that nature. It may go over 10 days, but if it does, it's on them, not necessarily on us. We're trying to make sure that we have that first initial review within 10 days. Once the plans are approved, they're ready to permit at that time. The permit is issued upon payment of the permit fee. We have 24 hours to inspect once that goes out in the field and construction starts. Just to let you know, I was looking at it that 90% of our calls have been answered within the same day instead of 24 hours. And most of those that aren't answered within the same day are ones that were set for the next day. So we have almost a 95+% contact on the first day when you're called for an inspection from us. Just to let you know a little bit more about that, not only that, but we also do new business inspections. We did a pile of those this last year. We all do all new turn-ons for electricity. We inspect the power on those, all including in part of our inspection process. We track all of our contacts that we have with the building inspections through Outlook calendar, so we all got it, so we know where everybody's at. We do issue COs if they're requested at the end of the process. Any modification during the building are revised and usually done within staff as soon as possible, usually within 24 hours, any revisions that may happen in the process of building. And we've held to that turnaround quite readily. If there's any violations that we find, generally those violations are corrected on site with very few exceptions. If they're not corrected on site, then the first process would be a verbal. The second process would be that if someone violates again, we do have a double permit fee, which is something we use. And then lastly, and very rarely, in fact, I think we've had 2 in the last several years, we do sometimes have to issue a citation and move forward with that. But even if we correct it prior to the citation going to court, we generally drop the citation. Now to shift over to the code enforcement side, procedures for the code enforcement department. If we receive a report, that report may come from the outside or from staff. We may get calls, we may get emails, we may get references, we may get referrals, whatever they come from, we accept those reports. We also do staff reports that come from staff field reports that we go when we're looking. I spend a lot of time doing that myself when I get the time to do it, go out and just kind of manage by observing, so to speak. And anytime I see anything, I'll make a note, bring them back in with open cases. Once we do get that case or we get that report, we always check to make sure that there truly is a violation there. If there is none, there's no action. We close the case. If we do find a violation, then we do everything we can to make contact with that owner occupant. Although with reduced staff, it's not 100%. It's lower than that. We also send out a letter requesting contact with us. The days vary on that, depending on what the violations are. That's set by code ordinance, which y'all generate. And it varies from anywhere from 7 to 10 days, depending on what particular ordinance it is, for them to contact our office. Our hope is, of course, to make any kind of contact we can with that person and set a time for completing or remedying the situation. And we do that probably in 90+% of the reports that we get. If we don't have contact within the allotted time, then our only recourse is to send out a citation. Those citations, as well as the letters, always go to the landowners or whoever's on the tax registry. If we know that there's also someone registered with us through our water and gas or whatever getting services, solid waste, we will send them to the tenant also. Both usually get them, and the reason being is that we know that most of the time we're working with the tenants, but we do want the landowners, the property owners, to know what's going on. And sometimes they actually help us because they'll actually, contact their renters and say, look, you're supposed to be keeping it up. So they're really a great asset, and we appreciate that when they do that. But we do send out to both if at all possible. There are times when there isn't follow-through, and if there's not follow-through, then we do have to do a citation. We try to present those in person if at all possible. Sometimes we're not able to because people are out of town. There may be an owner out of town, and whatever the case may be. So then at times we do have to mail those citations. Even when that citation is sent out, our objective is to try to remedy the problem. And once that problem is remedied, that citation is removed and voided because the problem has been solved. And we try everything we can do right up to the point of where every single case that has a citation is going to court on a Wednesday, starting with us at 3 o'clock, 3:30. Mr. Schultz, myself, Mr. Sumner have made a contact by that property, rode by that property to see if whatever needed to be remedied has been remedied. If it has, we're through. Okay, we go back to home base, so to speak. But if not, then we do end up in court. It's very rare, and when we do end up in court, then it's, like I said, then it's up to the judge to make a decision as to what the remedy may be. He does sometimes issue orders to clean it up, giving him usually an extension, whoever it may be. Even then, sometimes they are involved with some fines, and that's kind of how it's done. That's procedurally how we handle code enforcement procedures. And are there any questions relating to the building or code enforcement procedural aspects of our department? This isn't standard operating procedures too, by the way.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may, Council, I actually asked for this today. Bart, thank you for being here. Is Houston here today?
He had
Sir.
a family, is he? Oh, he's here.
Maybe.
Okay,
Okay,
I didn't know
great.
he was going to make it natural or not. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, Larry and I had a kind of a heart-to-heart talk on your department, and there's no doubt that we need code enforcement in the city. And so I told Larry, I said, let's put this on the agenda item so the whole council can kind of hear some things I'm hearing and some concerns. So that way we can get everything aired out. There might be some others and so forth. But Bert, I've just got a few questions. And thank you again for providing this information to the whole council and kind of going through your thing. And we've done a lot with code enforcement. I know since my tenure here, code enforcement's been kind of very active and proactive with building and things like that. But there's a few things that kind of concerns me, and I think some of it is the atmosphere of code enforcement. And Larry and I have this conversation, is that code enforcement is out there to get you. It's going to catch you. And then with that atmosphere is delivery of message. How many people in this room, raise your hand if you have the book of codes? Nobody. People don't know. And so when we go out there and express to them, this is a violation or this is a problem, we need to say it in a way where we know we're not here to beat you up, but we're here to help you. I mean, at the end of the day, our taxpayers are customers of the city of Tifton. So when it comes to code enforcement's salary, Larry's salary, it comes from our customers, which are the taxpayers. No business is going to go out there and have a hostile environment or treat them like they're criminals because they want their business. They want them to come back. Well, we want people to stay in Tifton and come back for help on code enforcement. Not feel like I'm going to be taken to court or someone's not listening to me. There's a few things I've heard, and I just want to, throw this out there at you. I've heard that, our people have blocked people from entering their property. I don't think we have the authority to do that, do we? Pull one of the cruisers, code enforcement vehicles in front of someone's property and they can't enter. Have we ever done that?
Are you asking me? Or
Yes,
just making
for
sure?
your department.
Not that I'm aware of. If we have, it had been where we just parked to go into a place and we may have parked in the driveway and made a block. That's something
Okay.
I would think.
Well, I've heard that that's happened. You know, and you may want to follow up, find out if that's in fact true or not. You know, we're not Walmart. This community isn't built upon the Kmarts and the Publix and things like that. We've got small business owners that are struggling to pay a light bill or give their employee a raise because they come in every time they're asked. And then when we show up and say, hey, your grass is 3 inches too high, and these people have a mountain of problems to deal with to operate their business, including maybe if they'll have enough money this month to pay themselves, then to come back and it's not even their property, it's the city's. I've also gotten some complaints that people have said, well, or we're getting a phone call from code, heard you're about to buy some property, heard you're going to take this over. You know you're going to have to remedy this, right? And the parties haven't even purchased the property yet. So you might want to follow up on that too. I was under the assumption we could only go after somebody if they own the property, not just because someone's looking at it and heard through the grapevine they were going to buy it. Let's don't be preemptive on that, because that makes the city look like we're going after people. But we're not supposed to be going after people. We're supposed to make sure we have a clean city, a safe city, buildings are structurally sound, you know, there's not crack houses out there, we clean up things. We go after the areas we need to go after, and we don't harass, you know, the senior citizens and things like that. So what I would like to do moving forward is at least have a meeting once a month to make sure we don't have any, I don't hear any of this stuff. Now, I'm sure other council members, sometimes we hear the bad for the good. But I want to make sure this department is operating like it should. And Bert, there's no doubt in my mind that you will make sure it operates efficiently and what it's supposed to be done for. I just want to make sure this hostile atmosphere and this culture that's surrounded code enforcement, you know what I'm talking about, because I'm sure you hear it too, ends. We're here to help people, not anything else, okay? Now, I just wanted to share my comments with council, so that way you can kind of know how I feel as well. We were going to do it just me and Larry and Code, and I said, well, you know, let's let Wes, Jamie, Johnny, and Julie hear it as well. So that's why we did it in a public meeting, okay? So, that's all I've got.
I saw that Houston moved down front, and I tried to motion to him to see if he wanted to say anything. I think he said no.
Probably need to hear it.
But
Yeah, I want to make
Houston's
sure I
up
can
front.
hear, sir.
And you're welcome to come to the podium and speak to anything.
I would like to respond if I'm given
Sure.
an opportunity
Sure.
to some of the points that were made, if that's possible, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As far as this preemptive move on those who may be looking at possibility of buying properties, I would like to address that because that is a direct building development type question. Many times we get inquiries from businesses that want to come in, and one of the very first questions on their questionnaire will be, are there any pending code reports, cases, or have there been any in the last year? That's the first thing they ask, okay? And it's usually on the list. I can pull you some for you to see, Commissioner, and I'll let you see those. But when they ask those, I'm kind of obligated to share. The mayor made it very plain with me when we first started. He wanted us to be open and direct to the public about letting them know about things that are going on. So if I'm asked that, then I'm obligated to share that information. It's public information with those developers. So that could very likely seem to be preemptive of what it is. It's where they've asked us for information and we've sent it to them. Okay? And I will have to continue to do that unless this commission decides for me not to give out information. But that's part of our business-friendly promotion of things. They're going to ask me, are there any problems with zoning, are there any problems with this, any problems with code enforcement, are there any issues that may be currently pending? And I generally answer those as straightforward and honestly as I can. And I will continue to do that until I'm instructed by ordinance not to. Okay? As far as blocking, I don't know of any situation, although I can understand that there may have been a situation, may have been many, where we pulled into a driveway not out of anything other than to find a place to park. I mean, that may have been. I will check on that and see, but although I don't know of anything of that nature that's happened. As far as the overall aspect of how we conduct business, we're conducting business no different than we have since we started. Our letter is very, our initial letter whatever, our initial contact is basically asking someone to contact us so that we can explain whatever it may say on that letter or what the problem may be. I understand that people don't know ordinance. When I started here, I didn't. I had to sit down and learn them, okay? That's why we want those people to try to contact our office, or we try to make contact with him. Keep in mind that we are one person down on code enforcement side, so it makes it difficult to do that one-on-one as much as we would like. I'd like to see that at 80%. It's probably now at maybe 50, and that's just the best we can do under the circumstances due to cuts. I will say that even in our letter, it directly says that, look, just please contact our office. We're glad to, assist in whatever you need. Had people calling me this morning. I think we sent out 40 letters on overgrown last week. Somebody help me, somewhere in that neighborhood. Of which I personally went and saw every one of them, because I'm the one who wrote them down. And what we did to double check is that Houston went back by to make sure on that 40, so we could verify. And then at that time, we either tried to make contact with a person or send a letter out. Of those calls, we had probably 50 calls today, 40 calls. I mean, I know it sounds like exaggerated, I'm not. The majority of them related to these letters one way or another. And I had emails when I walked in the door this morning on this situation. So, the thing is that we want people to call us, because when we get those calls and we're able to explain exactly what and exactly what. I had a gentleman tell me he was out of town, wouldn't be back till like Wednesday week, which is next week. He says, can I have the Friday week? And I said, yes. And see, that's the way we like to do things, be able to be as flexible as we can be. The only time we ever have a problem with such situations like that is, is if someone doesn't make contact with us. Because if we don't, then we're obligated by ordinance, which you would have to change to do what we're obligated to do, which the next step after trying to contact somebody that doesn't contact us is to send them a citation and hopefully get them to court. That's the procedure. As far as being friendly, I will tell you that we've been recording most of our visits. Now we're recording all of our visits in person, up close and personal. We were just recording some of them for quality control. I'm not seeing issues that you're talking about. I'm not saying that there's not certain people. Anytime you have to tell somebody what they really won't do. One point that we made with this department when we started, and you can ask my staff, because I repeat it every time we meet. We are a department that was set up to ask people to do things that they don't want to do, and also pay for it many times, whether it be from a development standpoint or whether it be that. And when you begin to ask people to do things that they don't want to do on property that truly belongs to them because ordinance says that, then you're going to have people who are not going to be happy. And you're always going to make somebody upset. The idea, though, is to do everything you can in your power to remedy that problem, work with people. And I told them the only thing we have to offer people is customer service. And we have strived and will continue to strive to give customer service to a level that's really beyond what's required by the city. But we don't intend to stop that.
There's two things I just want you to, that you said. One is, since we started, your department still is kind of a baby, still in the infancy stage of where you are at. There's going to be tweaks, there's going to be developments. Well, this is, and really more on the code side than the inspecting side. You are new, you have started. I feel like it's a slippery slope right now on the culture and the atmosphere of where code is, okay? Reputation, however you want to word it. So, it's still starting, so you've got time to change it. So that's one thing needs to change. Another thing you mentioned is you want to be business friendly. We can say business friendly a million times. It doesn't mean we are. It means we just said it. We got to show people. We got to be flexible. Now, I know Larry gave me some instances where y'all have been and y'all work with some people, and that's great. But like you said best, when you go out there, you're wearing the badge, you got badges on your business card. I know we've already talked about that. Automatically people feel, okay, this becomes hostile off the jump. And that's what we need to change. We need to be seen as helpers instead of, hey, here's what you got to do and fix and blah, 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 and citations this and go to court that. We just need to kind of change our delivery of messages and remember who we're dealing with here. We're dealing with people. If you had to own Code Enforcement LLC and you owned it and operated it, how would you operate your department then? Would you operate like you do now? You might change a few things. Just do me that favor. Think about how you would run it if you had to make a profit off of it and treat people. But you couldn't go out there and enforce it because you could come back and say, well, city council said so. You had to offer a service, and they could take it or not take it. So have them take your help. Figure out a way to do that without punishing them with money and stuff like that and fines. All right? And then every 30 days or so, we'll get together, maybe the four of us, go through, make sure, you know, anything we hear out there in the field, we squelch it or we fix it, okay? And that's all I'm going to say, and I'm done. I've already taken up enough of the meeting time. Thank y'all for allowing me to express that.
Sure. Bert, anything you want to say before?
No, sir.
All right, at this time, we'll move on. I need an approval of the council agenda. If I could have a motion to second, please.
Mayor, if I
Sure.
may, item number 5 on the consent agenda, I'd ask that that be removed from the consent agenda. We had to make a slight change to that, so I think it would be more appropriate to take that off the consent agenda. You have the changes in front of you?
I was going to move 5 off of the consent agenda and handle it separately.
Yes.
Yeah, I plan on doing that, but we're still back up here. Okay, you're talking about the agenda, but you want to,
Well, you
I can't do that when we get to the consent agenda?
Well, I think that since we're on the approval of the council agenda, might be, go ahead and remove it now off the consent agenda.
Okay, just move it as a separate item.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion, second, any further discussion?
So we're going to move that to ordinances, the ordinance section.
Yes.
All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye. Your Honor, that's unanimous. We've just moved 5 into the resolutions.
Into the ordinances, Mayor.
Yeah, that's right. I said resolution. Move 5 right before 11. That's out of here. Okay. All right, we need to still approve the council agenda now, so, with this change. I have a motion.
It's been done
Yes, you approve the agenda with removing,
with that change.
with changing 5.
Oh, they included that into moving the agenda?
Correct.
Okay. So we got a unanimous. About 5 or 6 months ago, as mayor, I have the pleasure of appointing people to sit on committees, ask them to do certain things. That keeps the whole 5 of us from getting all bogged up. We send 2 people out to do it. But I chose the 2 financial gurus that sit up here on this board and asked them to take a look at that retirement and bring us back some good facts and some good figures. I asked Chris Parrott and Wes Sailors to work on that, and they both have. And so tonight, they have a presentation for us that will lead us into our decision about the retirement and what we're going to do with it. Gentlemen, the show is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll start off, and then I'll turn it over to Wes. It has been a long and arduous process. The retirement was frozen. Last year with the budget, we unfroze part of it. And a lot of people thought, well, everything's fine now, we've got a retirement. And that really wasn't the case at all. The retirement has been kind of a sore subject. And it's been tough trying to fund something that can be difficult to fund when the economy is sluggish and so forth. But with the help of Lois and Larry and the retirement committee working together, mapping out, and the actuary of putting data together to project out a lineage of what our deficit is in that unfunded retirement liability and what we can do to contribute that big number over time and go ahead and unfreeze it. And with that, there came out 4 scenarios, if you will, 4 options, as we say. And so the committee, the whole council at a workshop, got those options. We looked at it. The mayor assigned a committee. Wes and I met with Larry, Lois, and started going through each option, the projection of the funding, because if we have retirement, it's got to be sustainable, and it's got to be feasible. The original retirement we had was great for our employees. It was a super retirement. And unfortunately, the 1970s and 80s are gone. So we had to be left at, what are we going to do in 2014? So we went through each option and looked at the feasibility of it, what are the benefits. We also looked at the hiring, the sourcing, and the retention of our people. Will people come work for us with this option? Will people stay with us with this option? We weighed out the whole ball of wax to get the best option that we could get. And we met several times on that over, like the mayor said, about a 5 to 6 month period. And so now we're here, ready to make our recommendation on that. And I'm going to turn it to Wes to go through which option and the details of that.
Thanks so much, Chris. Council, we are very proud to present alternative 3 for the plan that we're going to recommend to you all. It meets, piggybacking on what Chris said, it meets all the criteria that we felt was important to the committee, which was the best option that the city could afford long-term and that it met the needs of the employee. Under alternative 3, employees hired before 7/1 of 08 will get 2 different benefits. First, the employee will receive a retirement benefit that is based on the frozen plan benefit formula, i.e. pre-2008 formula, using the employee's service earned as of September 30th of 2010, and using the employee's high 5 average salary, earned as their date of retirement. Second, the employee will receive a second retirement benefit that is based on the 2008 formula, but using the employee's service earned after September 30th of 2010, and using the employee's high 5 average salary earned as of date of retirement. At retirement, at retirement, the employee will receive the sum of these 2 amounts. For employees hired after 7/1 of 08, their retirement will be calculated as years of service times high 5 average at retirement times 1.5. Before I go any further on how this affects the budget or future budgets, I must make a stress that these are just projections that our retirement committee put together. Currently, the city budgets $2.7 million for our retirement. It was the committee's goal to maintain that dollar amount when choosing an alternative so that we could ensure that the alternative we chose could be afforded without reducing other budgeted items, and we certainly did not want to underfund this alternative. The committee also took into consideration and kept constant the current revenue streams of the city, and by maintaining the $2.7 million would ease our concerns with maintaining this alternative for a long period of time. The committee has calculated that alternative 3 can be afforded into the future, and we are proud to present that to the council. And lastly, Councilman Barrett, I appreciate your service on this committee, Larry, Lois, and Carla, and also Rob. Thank you for all this. We've worked together as a good team, and we're able to present this alternative to the council. We thank you for everybody's input.
Ron, we didn't mention you because we thought you might be able to.
I understand.
But we are proud to offer that. And Larry, do you have a copy, or can you get a copy of Alternative 3 to the rest of the council? Make sure they have a current copy of that.
Sure.
Okay.
I do not have a copy with me, but it's basically the formulas that Wes just talked about.
And when we vote that in, retirement will be completely 100% unfrozen for everyone.
That is absolutely correct.
We're very proud to say that.
There's actually a resolution on here to allow us to take action.
Well, look at that.
Well, look at there.
It'll be
I
effective
thought I saw
tonight.
something about that. He's even got alternate 3 on there. All right.
Yeah.
We'll do that tonight. Good job, guys. Appreciate both of you doing that, and all the people that met with you. Now we have a time when, we work for y'all. You hear me say that every month, and we do. Y'all are our bosses, so we always have citizen input each month so that you can come up here, stand at this podium, and give your name and address and talk to us, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, Ms. Rona had asked earlier, had anybody that wanted to speak signed in. We do require that you do that. However, at this time, if there's anybody out there that came in later that wants to speak, please raise your hand. Okay. Well, that concludes the citizen input. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. I need an approval of the minutes for the 5/5/2014 regular council meeting and the 5/15/2014 workshop and call meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Wes, I got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye. That is unanimous, Ms. Rona. Now we're going to move into the consent agenda. As you heard a while ago, we moved item number 5 down to start with the ordinances. So there are 3 items here on the consent agenda. Now, we don't want to think y'all to think that we just skip through things and categorize everything in one big pod. We talk about this stuff at the workshops. We have emails from Larry or from Rob or from Rona, and that keeps us on top of these things. So these are things that have been discussed. We just put them in a pod so they're a little simpler to digest in the meeting. The meetings are so long. So let me ask the council, is there any of these 3 consent agendas that any of y'all want to remove before we vote on them?
No.
So there's not, so we'll be voting on this consent agenda, which includes item 2, 3, and 4. And I'll accept the motion.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
I've got a motion, second. Any further discussion? Just tell the audience, we've got a good audience. One of them was a resolution providing for the amendment of the urban redevelopment area we talked about. Resolution providing for acceptance of proposal for design, build, and services for the Chula Fire Station. And the last one was the ordinance providing for the sale of craft beer growlers. Sound like an animal to me. So, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye. 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 And that is unanimous. We'll move now into the resolutions. Resolution number 6, providing for unfreezing of the City of Tifton pension plan, providing for staff direction to begin implementation of an amendment for Plan Alternative 3.
I make a motion to approve resolution unfreezing the City of Tifton's pension plan and going with Plan Alternative 3.
I second.
I've got a motion, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
I'm proud to say that's unanimous, Ms. Rona. Item number 7, and Ms. Rona, you may want to take item 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are all beverage licenses if you want to.
Yes, sir, if you all don't have any objections, I will take them collectively.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to tell you that item number 7 and item number 10, we've received back the information from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and their record is clean. We also get one from the FBI back. One of the folks' fingerprints just aren't working for him, but if he's got a clean record with the GBI, I'd appreciate approval contingent on a good return from the FBI. We've had to submit it twice already. Just don't want to hold him up any longer. If it does come back bad, I will report to you all at the workshop.
Which one is that?
That's items number number 7 and number 10.
7 and 10.
Yes. But I'm requesting approval of all of those with the contingent on number 7 and number 10.
Okay, so our motion should include approval of 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yes, sir.
With the notification that 7 and 10, you're waiting on further information.
Yes, sir. If that's not too confusing for you.
No, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve contingent upon the final approval or clean record from them.
Thank you.
Second.
And
Okay.
it's very rare that this happened, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is rare. Okay, I've got a motion. I've got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye. 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 That is unanimous.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to the ordinances, and as you'll remember, we moved down from the consent agenda, item number 5. And I'm going to recuse myself. Rob, there's going to be something about boom boxes as well as something, but I should recuse myself for the whole thing. Right?
Yes.
I'm going to recuse myself. Well, let me tell you why. The person that's wanting to put some music in a building happens to have looked at some of the buildings that I own downtown. So we don't want anything to have the appearance of a conflict of interest. And saying that aside, we want to move our town forward. We want to be progressive. I would certainly vote for this. But I'm not going to, because I don't want it to appear there's a conflict of interest. So right now, Ms. Rona, I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to walk out of this door back here, I guess. Right there. Is that like putting your nose in the corner? Okay, I guess I'm going out of this one. And then y'all can either call me to come back in once it's over, or y'all can finish the meeting without me.
Rona, just before, Mayor, before you leave,
Yeah.
As far as numbering and in here, how do you want to recode item number 5?
That's good.
I'm just leaving it as item number 5, and I'm moving it above 11.
Yeah,
Okay.
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 Super. Well, I did that right.
Mr. Terrell, you are now going to be chairing the meeting at this point. Council members, I sent you late this afternoon the one small change that we talked about at the workshop. It just has to do with boom cars, which is people playing music in their vehicles, and boom boxes. I think at the suggestion of the city manager, rather than having that distance being 50 feet during the daytime, it just be reduced down to 25 feet, no matter what time of the day it is. That way we don't hear a lot of loud music on the streets either day or night, either from boom boxes that may be in a public place or public right-of-way, or from boom cars, on the roadway. So that's the only change that we've made. Other than that, it's as was presented at the workshop. Mr. Trell, you want to entertain a motion on that?
That's fine. We need a motion on this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Get a motion?
Make a motion for ordinance meeting noise control requirements.
Second.
Okay, we have had the motion, and we moved in, have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, would you raise your, we'll approve it by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye. Yes, Ms. Ronald, that's unanimous.
Do we want to let him back in?
No.
Let's just keep out, let's move on.
Yeah, let's just keep moving on.
Yeah, we just go ahead and
I
Ron,
must
what's
say, things move a little bit quicker with you, others.
yeah, I run a quick meeting.
quick number 5? Now that's effective now immediately. Will we update our code for that?
Elvis has
Time,
left the
once he
building.
signs it, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Couldn't find it? Good.
Elvis has left the building.
Well, okay. Move right along.
I don't tap dance or anything, so.
Intermissions.
Okay. So,
Well, they had me handcuffed back there. I'm glad there's no jail in this place. They started escort me over to the jail. And if anybody else ever wants to be recused, that's the place to go back there.
There is a holding cell over there.
I think I was in the holding cell. All right, are we ready to move
Number 11, sir.
Okay, number 11 under the ordinances, and this is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Tifton by amending Part 1, Article 4, Section 4.13 of the charter, reducing the maximum term of imprisonment for ordinance violations, to provide for an effective date and for other purposes. What's your pleasure?
You just need a motion for approval of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I make the motion that we approve item number 11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Item number 12 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 1, Section 1-11, small a of the Code of Ordinances to reduce the maximum term of imprisonment or ordinance violations, to approve for an effective date and for other purposes. I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
I've got a motion.
Second.
I got a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye. That is unanimous. Item number 13 is the ordinance providing for annexation of 4.823 acres owned by Peachway Holdings, LLC, located on E.B. Hamilton Drive, adjacent to West Haven Village. This is items X14-000-001, and we need a motion for approval on that.
I make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
second, I've got a motion, second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that is unanimous. Item number 14 is the ordinance providing for zoning reclassification of the 4.823 acres owned by Peachway Holdings, LLC, located on E.B. Hamilton Drive from Tift County Agriculture Use, AU, to City of Tifton Multiple Residential, MR, adjacent to West Haven Village, Z14-000-002. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
I've got a motion, second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye. That is unanimous. Now, under other business, we have the board report.
Yes, sir, I'm going to discuss each one of these individually or separately. You all might want to take action or not, whatever your choice is. At the workshop, I was asked to make contact with several folks to find out if they wanted to continue serving on the boards. So I took the opportunity to make recontact with some folks as well I've been waiting on. So the first one is the Tifton Tree Board. I did make contact with Joseph LaForest again. Got an email today. He is he's trying to locate someone who would be interested in being the chair, but he did not say that he wanted to officially resign. So I'm thinking he might want to just step down as chair, continue to serve, but is trying to help us find someone else to pick up the chair position. In the meantime, Jeannie Rigdon does want to continue serving on that board. So if you all are interested in having her continue, I'd like to know your wishes on that. Everyone needs some action on that.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Ms. Rigdon to that board.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion, second, any further discussion?
Do we need to confirm Mr. LaForest's participation? or-
Yeah, we need to do that too, but let's go ahead.
Yeah.
We got a motion on the floor, let's go ahead and do
We
that.
probably can do that. We'll do that after.
That's a separate, okay.
Yes. Okay, so this is
All
for
right.
Jeannie Rigdon.
I need, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's unanimous. Now, what we're gonna do with Joe LaForest?
Well, thinking about it, Mr. LaForest will continue to serve until we replace him or he decides to officially resign. So we can just make note in the minutes that he's continuing to serve until further notice.
But we
So
need
you
to
don't,
make a
you won't really
motion.
have to you won't have to take any action on that, but I'll just note it in the
Okay.
minutes, okay?
Okay.
On the Key Tip Beautiful Board, we have sort of the same situation with Elaine Cook. She has got her home up for sale and is planning to leave the area, but is continuing to serve on this board until she does leave, and said she would be happy to keep doing that. But we do have 2 other vacancies. We have an application from Lori Marchant. If you all are interested in having her serve on the board. You know, we have Hayward Fowler and Duncan McCluskey, who did officially resign some time back. So we have the opportunity for 1 application to be considered, and that is Lori Marchant.
Should we appoint Elaine or consider Elaine with the understanding that she may resign at some point, just to at least close that gap from the
Yes.
date standpoint?
Yes,
Okay.
we can do that. So if
Okay, do I
anybody
have a motion on that?
has a
I
pleasure.
make a motion to nominate Lori Marchant to the board.
Have a second?
I'll second.
I got a motion, second for Lori Marchant. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
And I'll note the minutes for Elaine Cook.
We don't need to vote on the Elaine Cook.
We're okay with that. I'm
Okay.
just gonna make a notation of the
Okay.
minutes as well. All right, the Historic Preservation Commission, we have Jeffrey Daniel, Herb Pilcher, Jeff Robbins, and Cindy Hall's terms all expiring. I did contact them. They all are interested in continuing to serve. We have applications from Charles Steyer, Susan Click, and Nathaniel Pridgeon. So I just need to know what your pleasure is for that.
I would like to make a nomination to nominate Charles Steyer to the board.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
How does that impact the 4 that are listed that?
Yeah, who do you want Mr. Steyer to be replacing?
Who did you say was coming up again?
Jeffrey Daniel, Herb Pilcher, Jeff Robbins, and Cindy Hall.
Jeff.
Jeff Robbins?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, this will be Charles Steyer replacing Jeff Robbins.
Okay, we've already got the motion in the second, is that right?
Probably need to,
Yes.
probably ought to do the motion again, so
Okay, yeah.
it clarifies it's just replacing Jeff
Who's
Robbins.
replacing,
Okay.
so I don't need a
Amendment
motion again.
to replace Mr. Robbins.
Second.
All right.
I've got a motion, second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
That's unanimous.
I'd also like to nominate Jeff Daniels again.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second, any further discussion?
And he'll be replacing Jeff Daniels.
He'll be
Okay,
replacing
thank you.
himself. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
I'd also like to nominate Suzanne Click, replacing Charles Steyer. I'm sorry, Herb Pilcher.
Okay, Suzanne Click, replacing Herb Pilcher. I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
I've got a second, any further discussion?
Who else is on the board here?
Cindy Hall would be the last person.
Well, we hadn't voted on this one yet.
I
Right.
was just wondering.
You just asked.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No?
No.
No.
Who did the second for Suzanne Click? Mr. Terrell did, right? Okay, I'm sorry. And it's 4-1, okay.
And who was the other person you mentioned? And
Cin-
Nathaniel?
Put 3-2.
Nathaniel Pridgeon, 3-2.
I thought it was 4-1.
No, it's 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Change the
sorry.
vote?
I'm looking at both ends.
No.
Okay.
I'd also like to nominate Nathaniel to replace Cindy.
Who?
Nathaniel Pridgeon, is that what you said his last name was?
To replace
Cindy Hall, Miss Hall.
Cindy Hall.
I second him.
Okay, so that's Nathaniel Pridgeon replaced Cindy Hall. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
That was 4 or 5? Okay.
4-1.
Uh,
No, 4 to 9.
okay, and then, no.
So we're good?
Julie.
All right, the next board is the Public Library Board.
Well, let's just recap this one right quick.
Okay.
I've written all this stuff up here. I want to be sure I'm right. So there was 4 people up. Jeffrey Daniel remained on the board. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And the other 3 were replaced with Suzanne Click, Charles Steyer, and Nathaniel Pridgeon. Is that what I understand? Okay.
On the Tifton County Library Board, Erica Johnson's term expired. She is, Vicki Horse is requesting that she be reappointed. She is willing to do so.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Ms. Johnson.
I need a second. I have a motion on the floor. Okay, got a second.
I'm sorry.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
On the Planning and Zoning Commission, we have Major Battle Jr. and Julie Sharp, whose terms are expiring and they both wish to continue serving.
What's the major's first name?
Major Battle.
Oh, okay.
I move that we keep Major Battle, Commissioner Major Battle to the plan of
Doug, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
I'd like to nominate Julie Sharp.
Can I need a second?
Second.
I've got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you very
that.
much.
Okay. Well, I think that concludes the meeting. We are, what's that Leroy used to say?
Oh, not that again.
Go to the call.
Meeting adjourned, subject to call.
Meeting adjourned, second call. Thank y'all very much, everybody, for coming down.